r/Airbnb hosts. Ambiansad6843 says, is my property manager asking for too much? Last year my partner and I combined households and put his home on Airbnb. We didn't know what we were doing, so we hired someone I knew to be the property manager. There were a few small issues while working with her, but nothing major. She takes home 25% of the profit after major expenses, mortgage, utilities, internet. We started a second Airbnb this year and asked her if she wanted to manage that one and she declined. We are currently managing the second Airbnb ourselves. We are about to open a third Airbnb in a few months and are approaching our 1-year mark working with her. We wanted to renegotiate our contract with her. We took away a lot of her responsibilities because we realized how to automate them. We wanted her to focus on changing door codes, maintain/update listing if needed, pricing updates, be available for boots on ground if needed, additional fee negotiable for 10% after major expenses. She declined. She stated that for her new contracts she takes 25% before expenses. I think that amount is absurd. Given that we still have to handle taking the trash out every week, coordinate maintenance repairs to the home, and coordinate lawn services, etc. Do you all think she was asking for too much? Spasaib says, not even sure why you need her? Automation exists for door codes and pricing. What does she do? Equivalent Future 271 says, 25% is too much for what she's doing. That's the rate I see when an owner is completely hands off other than paying the bills. She's acting like a host, not a property manager, and expecting property manager pay. I pay my very experienced local co-hosts 10% of nightly rate plus the cleaning fee, since they coordinate that, and an additional service fee for anything extra, like touching up paint or changing light bulbs that require use of a ladder. They take care of all guest communication and bookings as well as handle turnover between guests. I coordinate all lawn care, vac work, trash pickup, plumbing and appliance repair, picking up of supplies, etc. To be a true property manager, where I wasn't involved at all, their fee would be 18%. We are in a popular beach town on the East Coast, if that helps. Trailless says, 25% of profit isn't a bad deal. Most of these people are thinking 25% of revenue. I was quoted by a high-end property manager as a tourist city, 20% of revenue for an old house. I didn't take the deal and backed out of it because I couldn't make the numbers work. If it were 25% of profit, I would have taken that deal in a heartbeat. I wish mods were cool says, I have 5 Airbnbs in a different state and I don't even need a PM. Oh, by the way, she's not your friend. Following _my_bless says, yes, way too much. 10% is reasonable for what you're asking her to do. Miss Gitty Midway says, that is too much. I charge 15% and do everything like it's my own home. On top of the majority of guest communication, I leave price setting and longer stay negotiating to the home owners. The only thing I don't do is hire contractors for large projects, like one home needs a new roof. Snow removal here in the winter here can be a challenge, so they hire a plowing service. The majority of the small maintenance is done by my partner, such as replacing bathroom fixtures, security cameras, doorknobs and locks, mowing the yard, weeding flower beds, just that general handyman stuff. Fishrank says, sounds like you'll be managing all the properties yourself. 25% before expenses doesn't leave much for you to run the properties and make a little on your time and investment. Aromatic Secretary 11 says, it is absurd. I do way more than that for all of my property managers and her 10-20% of nightly rate depending on rather night. You're being ripped off. r/Airbnb hosts. Pitiful underscore ode 2051 says, what is your least favorite rating category for listings, and why is it location? Honestly wish we could petition Airbnb to change this to something actually helpful. We are a rural property and are as upfront with our guests as possible about the location of our property, despite them also having an actual pin drop. It rural, we're out of town. There isn't a convenience store down the road, and we still get one low rating for location about every 3 to 4 months, because it's inconvenient or far from town and my eyes want to roll back into my head. Hilariously, these reviews will also include a 5-star for accuracy. Where is the logic? Also, to avoid this just becoming unproductive, what would you replace location with? I would love to see something like the guests would you host again thumbs up/down with a would you come back thumbs up/down. Monocapped says, people don't read. Plus, many are stupid. My property is in the middle of the city but not downtown. The listing literally says twice that it's in a former industrial building in an industrial zone that is evolving into an arts district, and that it's definitely not in a leafy residential neighborhood. Yet, without fail, people will leave all 5s except for location. That's always a 4 and occasionally a 3. ZMZ2 says, the problem really comes down to Airbnb demanding a perfect 5-star review for all the hosts. Most customers don't think like this. Very few hotels are 5 stars. An honest and objective review of a property in a poor location would not be 5 stars, no matter what the listing says. But Airbnb doesn't want honest and objective reviews, they want perfection, and they don't make it clear to the customer. If you have a perfectly accurate listing that describes a subpar location, it's logical to give a 5-star accuracy and less than 5-star location. The failure in logic is Airbnb punishing hosts for a less than perfect location. Moist underscore artichoke underscore 1595 says, location is location. There aren't a lot of alternative ways to tell people where you are located. The best might be, my Airbnb is here. I think you need to emphasize in the description that your property is not suitable for those who want shops or a fuel station or a restaurant or other amenities within close driving distance. Really stress that your location is very rural and tell people the driving distance to the nearest amenity. Do it in your first communication and repeat it again in any pre-arrival welcome message. There can be no reason then for a rental guest to complain about convenience or to mark you down because there isn't a Walmart right across the street. If I was the renter, I would be very pleased about that. Vishyas Papi says, in defense of guests giving poor ratings for location, even if you do make it perfectly aware that the location isn't the best/most convenient, it's still reasonable to give a low score for location. Do the categories even matter that much? What I don't like about this category though is that you're supposed to basically only use it for proximity to other tourist attractions. I'd really like to see, for example, if the neighborhood is bad/has crime, but you're not allowed to review on factors out of the host's control. So why have this category in the first place? Kithian says, using Airbnb for 10 plus years as host and guest, and I'm still not sure what location is for. Simple underscore ecstatic says, I never have a problem with location, simply because I'm very careful when buying a property. I make sure it's in a desirable, quiet, and safe neighborhood. I get dinged when it's high season however and everything is booked up and the prices are higher. I have always thought that category was dumb. The guest knows the price they are paying, and to ding someone because it is high season and they couldn't find something in their price range seems passive aggressive to me. Diagonal says, I once got so frustrated with people giving a 4 for location, often saying you have to drive to get places, that I added the closest Starbucks to my guidebook and noted that it was a mere 14-hour walk from the cabin. r/Airbnb hosts. Secure Blue Bari 6 says, guest livid that the ski resort is closed in September. We have a ski and ski out condo. A guest booked at an extremely low rate for late September. Checks in and is disappointed, angry, and livid that the ski resort walking distance is mostly shut down, and they have to drive 10 minutes down the hill to grab food. They want to cancel. They seemed like such angry people and definitely would have left a bad review. We accepted the cancellation in order to avoid it. Still was a $1,200 booking for 6 days. What would you do? Wiz65 says, it's not your responsibility to notify them of the status of a resort. You own a rental property, you are not a travel agent. It's completely unreasonable on their part. Secure Blue Bari 6 says, they were so angry on the phone you should list it in your listing that the resort is closed. Our condo isn't even part of the resort, it's just one of the things you can walk to. We assumed they would know there's no skiing during summer. Reckless Extrovert says, and I bet if they booked with you during snow season, they'd complain about the condition of the roads and how much snow there was lol. Muha 182 says, should have asked them if they were going to leave a bad review if you didn't refund due to the resort being closed. Immediate reason for getting their review removed. Should always follow your cancellation policy and not show favoritism or bias toward any one particular guest. Hulg says, I'd have responded politely but declined the cancellation. I think many hosts are too worried about the effect of a single bad review. As a guest, if I see a bad review with a polite rational reply, it's actually more comforting than just perfect 5 stars on Airbnb. Bruce_Ventura says, lack of snow resulting in closure of a ski resort facilities is a weather issue and a business decision outside of your control. You do not owe them a refund. I only give a weather-related refund in the case of named tropical storm nearby that could pose a safety risk during the stay. That said, you may want to review the listing and make sure that it doesn't imply that the ski resort facilities are always open. Maybe include a disclaimer statement about the ski resort hours and facilities outside of winter season. Whistler 1421 says, as soon as they raised their voice at me, I would have told them to frick off. Frickin' entitled shits. Kodiak 2010 says, this sounds like some big skytorrent stupidity. Mledo says, although I agree that their reaction is completely irrational, I would add it to my listing. I live near a small town, 15-minute drive. The grocery store is closed on Sundays during off-season. I mention this in my listing. It's a small adjustment to help you to avoid future scenarios like this. Dilettante Test says, very few ski resorts have snow in September. Nomadison says, I would say if the place was rebooked then you'd refund their stay. Dangus 1024 says, I'm not a host, but as someone who rents Airbnbs for this same reason, not sure how this is at all your fault, unless of course you said something about the resort being open in year at when it was not. Been on many trips where the snow doesn't pan out, and the last thing on my mind is to hit up my Airbnb host to complain. I don't think you owed them a refund, maybe a discount if you wanted to be really nice. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.